Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and of course the 30th of June, a very important day in the history of modern-day Egypt, as Egypt commemorates the 8th anniversary of the 30th of June revolution, the revolution which saw Egypt freeing itself from the shackles of outlawed terrorists and organizations seeking out to destabilize the country. Now we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for this afternoon, Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science, Cairo University. Dr. Hassan, a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Thank you very much for joining us, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Right. Doctor, the Prime Minister today, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, has greeted President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on the 8th anniversary of the June 30th revolution, conveying his best regards on behalf of the government, etc. Madbouli said that this anniversary is very significant in the history of modern-day Egypt, as it witnessed people taking out to the streets in an uprising that concluded 7 months of protests. How do you see the commemoration of the 30th of June revolution, and how was this revolution a turning point? What was at stake for the Egyptian citizens?
Yes. First of all, let me congratulate ourselves, congratulate the President, because the President really took it in Egypt in a time very difficult, where we're witnessing people, very dark scenarios would have impacted it to have negative roads with chaos, destabilization, scattering groups, getting into the trap of what they call the Great Middle East and the chaos designed by those who designed it, and we know the story. It turns to a very key to stand firm with the Egyptian army and with the Egyptian police to stand against the
Yes.
and the swap at the right time, with the right devotion to address our future in a far better scenario as we can see it now. Alhamdulillah, thank God.
Yes, indeed. Doctor, let's talk a bit about how this revolution has really changed Egypt and has done its job in preserving the identity of the nation, restoring the national identity, especially during the time which saw some very critical events.
Yes, actually, when we are talking about Egyptian national identity, we are talking about multiculturalism, talking about Egypt that room all
Yes.
the different affiliations to history. Egypt is very strong an Islamic country, African country, an Arab country, and a leading country in the Arab Islamic world.
Yes.
So this means that Egypt is supposed to adopt a very moderate line of collecting all these elements, collecting all this culture, collecting all these elements of civilization to be a guide to the entire world. But when we were faced with those dogmatists, those terrorists, those who really turned it out I will never forget that when I was in my university, the discourse by those people adopted that was very violent, and it turned out to be violent. We have seen, witnessed churches being burned, mosques being destroyed. We have seen a university like that. I remember that one of the foreign journalists told us, you can tolerate and conduct a dialogue. I said to him, if Notre Dame University, Oxford University was set on fire, would you accept that to be an acceptable behavior? You are calling for that, but that look, there are dogmatic people who really, for the first time, set fire in a 1,000 year, more than 1,000 year university like Al-Azhar. In the I was very pissed off that kind of friction, and I thank God that we have started of that kind of people, that kind of scenarios that really is unacceptable to the Egyptian identity and
Yes.
Egyptian mentality.
Absolutely. Doctor, the revolution, which was also supported by the army, really led to a political roadmap, a new roadmap being paved for Egypt, paving the way for a new democracy, a new democratic nation. How do you see Egypt now as it is progressing on this democratic path?
Actually, democracy is not an instant coffee. It needs a lot of work in the educational level, on the renewal of religious support in the right direction. We need so many things. Media also we should work on our media to establish the floors for real democracy. We are getting good steps, but it's a long and widening road, and we need to work hard to establish democracy. But the most important, democracy will never be achieved through a chaotic situation. We need to have a balanced equation by stabilization, strong country, strong institution, with good environment for real healthy dialogue. I think this is very needed.
Yes.
I think that the advances that we have seen in the last 7 years are great when it comes to Egypt's effort, eastern flank of Egypt, when we intervened very positively on the right side of Egypt. We have already seen how the politics worked very well in Libya, and inshallah it will work fine with great strategic patience.
Absolutely.
With our
yes.
front.
Right. Dr. Hassan, on the economic front, this revolution really paved the way for the economic reform program. And this was very important because it was all one package really for Egypt under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Lots of changes politically, economically, as well as socially in Egypt.
Yes, I think when it comes to the economy, it was a very hard situation. The country was turmoil, but after the purchase of Egypt, we got into the stabilization track, the only track that will us look at the economic situation with deep, penetrating outlook. And we have seen results.
Yes.
We have seen fruits. For that, I think that we have to go on because the Egyptian leadership has great in getting the economy, and by the way, the economy during this period time for the entire world, Egypt progress is fair when it comes to having achieved an economic progress.
Yes.
During the coronavirus, great countries, great nations,
yes,
do that. So that is a very good thing that we have to keep.
Absolutely. Indeed. Right. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Hassan Wagih, our political analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break, and we'll be right back for more. Do stay tuned.